A patient came to me a few months ago, excited but a little overwhelmed. She'd been hearing everywhere that creatine could help with energy, strength, and even brain fog. And she honestly wanted in. She knew that I don't recommend taking any supplements long term, so she was wondering what my thoughts were. I will say that these kinds of situations can get a little messy. She was already dealing with bloating and workouts that felt harder than they should. And now she's scrolling through articles that are all saying something different related to this new supplement she's considering. So, should women take creatine or is this just another trend? And what about the creatine side effects for menopause? Is she or you or even me going to feel even more bloated? Every answer she found about creatine supplementation for women sent her in circles. Sound familiar? The problem is, most creatine research wasn't designed with women in mind, especially not women going through perimenopause or menopause. So, finding clear answers feels nearly impossible. But once you know how creatine works in a woman's body during this phase, it all makes sense. So if you've been curious but held back because what you're reading just doesn't seem to make sense, there's just too much conflict, stick with me. By the end of this video, I'll tell you what happened when my patient finally figured it out and why it was worth it. And if you're new here, I'm Dr. Gayla Gorman, a licensed acupuncturist, naturopath, and author of What's Your Kryptonite? If you'd like to connect with me, use the QR code on the screen or go to drgayla.com/links. On this channel, I'm here to help you reverse the effects of chronic stress so that you can cruise through midlife and beyond symptom free. So let's just get started here talking about creatine supplementation for women. What does it actually look like in practice, and why does it matter more in midlife than you might think? If you've heard about creatine but assumed it was just for athletes or bodybuilders, it's time to rethink it. Let's start with what creatine supplementation for women really does when your hormones are shifting and your body isn't responding the way it used to. Creatine supplementation for women in midlife is less about powerlifting in the gym and more about protecting muscle, energy, and brain health during a time when hormones are working against all three. In this phase, creatine acts like a quiet support system in the background, helping your muscles contract more efficiently, your workouts feel more productive, and your recovery feel less punishing. It's one of the few well studied supplements that can realistically move the needle when you're doing all the right things and they're really not giving you the same results that they used to. Creatine can help preserve lean muscle and strength at a time when estrogen drops, making it easier to lose muscle and harder to maintain tone, even if your workouts and nutrition haven't changed. It may support cognitive function and daily energy, which matters more when midlife brings more brain fog, poor sleep, and stress layered on top of already busy lives. For most healthy midlife women, a low daily dose of creatine monohydrate, often in the 3 to 5 grams range, pairs well with resistance training and protein and is generally considered safe when there are no underlying kidney issues and hydration is adequate. In a 2021 review published in Nutrients, they looked at creatine supplementation specifically for women, not just men or athletes. And what it found matters if you're navigating perimenopause or menopause. Women naturally have 70 to 80% lower creatine stores than men, which means supplementing might actually fill a bigger gap than most people realize. When postmenopausal women combined creatine around 5 grams daily with strength training, they gained more muscle and strength compared to women doing the same workouts without it. Some studies tracked women for up to 2 years and saw real improvements in bone density and bone structure, the kind of thing that protects you from fractures down the road. The safety consideration, creatine was well tolerated with no serious side effects showing up compared to the placebo. Knowing what creatine supplementation can do is one thing, but deciding whether you should actually take it is where most women get stuck. And here's what makes this even more confusing. You're told creatine is great for muscle and energy, but then you hear it's mostly studied in men, or that it might cause bloating, or that maybe you don't even need it. So the question becomes, should women take creatine at all, especially during perimenopause and menopause? Let me break down what the research actually says and then square up how this works with my own long term philosophy about supplementation, along with why this might be one of those supplements worth trying if the basics are already in place. So, if you're curious about other natural ways to support your energy and well being during menopause, especially when fatigue feels like it's taken over, you'll find some specific suggestions in one of my other videos. It's titled Best Supplements for Menopause Fatigue. The link should pop up right here on your screen, and if you miss it, no worries, I've included it in the description below. Let's dig into some additional points about creatine that matter most when you're trying to figure out if this is actually worth your time or the risk. So, should women take creatine? If you're in midlife and you're dealing with workouts that feel harder, recovery that takes longer, or energy that crashes by afternoon, creatine might be one of the smartest, simplest things you can add. The research keeps stacking up, especially for women navigating perimenopause and menopause, and the risks are pretty low if you're healthy and staying hydrated. I will say here that if you are over exercising, which a lot of times as we go into perimenopause or menopause, we may not like some of the things we're seeing with our body and think that exercising more is going to help offset it. But actually, we may need to be exercising less, and additional stress and cortisol spike caused by the exercising is sabotaging our efforts. So, really, just keep that in mind if you're turning to creatine because your workouts are feeling more challenging, especially to recover from them, then you actually might need to be turning to a more gentle form of exercise. Creatine actually works by replenishing ATP, which is the energy currency your cells use during quick, intense efforts. Think lifting weights, sprinting upstairs, or even getting through a tough workout without feeling completely wiped afterwards. I will also say that ATP is really necessary for all functions in the body, but these kinds of activities that we're talking about with extreme workouts are creating a larger demand. So the benefits can go beyond the muscles. Studies show creatine may support bone density, mood stability, and cognitive performance, all of which take a hit during hormonal changes in midlife. If you're already doing strength training and eating enough protein, creatine can amplify those efforts, but it's not a replacement for the basics. So, key point there, eating enough protein. If you're not eating enough protein, then that may be the reason why your creatine stores are low. So, supplementing with creatine won't do much if these foundational things aren't in place. So, now you know creatine can help and why it might be worth considering if your body isn't bouncing back the way it used to. You've got the practical piece sorted, but there's something else that stops most women from actually trying it: the worry about side effects, the fear of bloating or digestive issues when you're already dealing with enough discomfort from menopause. And that's exactly what we need to talk about next, because understanding what's real and what's overblown changes everything. But here's what most women miss: these side effects, they're often signals your body is already stressed, dehydrated, inflamed, or overloaded. And the fastest way to reduce them is by addressing the stress that's making your system reactive in the first place. You've seen how creatine can support your muscles, energy, and even brain function in midlife, But knowing it helps is only half the equation. The other half is feeling confident that it's actually safe for you, especially with everything else your body is juggling in perimenopause or menopause. So let's talk about creatine side effects in a real world way. What's common, what's overblown, and how to use it without making your symptoms worse. Most of what women hear about creatine side effects in menopause sounds scarier than what actually shows up in the research. For generally healthy women in midlife, creatine is considered safe, and the most common issues tend to be mild and manageable. Things like temporary bloating or a bit of digestive discomfort. The real key is dose, hydration, and paying attention to how your body responds, especially if you're already feeling puffy or off from hormone ship. The most common side effects are mild water retention, feeling a bit puffy, or changes in digestion like soft stools or slight nausea, which often improve by lowering the dose or splitting it across the day. Studies haven't shown creatine to damage healthy kidneys when used at typical doses, but if you have kidney disease or significant medical issues, this is definitely talk to your doctor first. Supplement, not a DIY experiment. To reduce side effects in menopause, start low. For example, 2 to 3 grams daily instead of jumping all the way to the 5-gram dose. You can take it with food, but a lot of women see that it actually improves sleep if they take it before bed. So it just really depends on whether you find that it contributes to nausea. And so if you take it at night and you have that kind of problem, then you may need to take it with food to kind of dilute its effect. You want to really stay on top of hydration and electrolytes, and you'll need to give it a couple of weeks before deciding whether it works for you. So remember my patient from the beginning, the one starting at conflicting information and unsure if creatine was safe or just another overhyped trend? Well, that's what happens when you're trying to navigate midlife wellness without clear answers. You want to do what's right for your body, but the noise makes it impossible to decide. Now you know what creatine supplementation for women actually does, whether you should take it, and how to manage side effects so they don't derail your progress, because creatine is designed to help when your body's hormones aren't working in harmony, not to get everything just right. And yes, it can actually work if the basics are already in place. But just know that with any supplement, and this is no exception, I don't recommend taking supplements long term. I recommend taking supplements to shore up a deficiency. So if you're having some of these issues, then you may find that supplementing for a month or 2 or 3, possibly even up to 6 months, can help your body kind of jumpstart and start to produce its own creatine more actively. I will say that during this period of time, you want to make sure that you're burning off the extra creatine that you're taking in and making sure that you're eating enough of the foods, including high quality protein, that supports your body to make its own creatine naturally. And if your best efforts to live a healthy lifestyle and do all the things you've been led to think are supposed to work aren't getting the job done, you may even be feeling like you take 2 steps forward and 3 back. I have more resources to help you navigate midlife. Just go to drgala.com/links and watch my next video where I show you how to manage the toxic stress that's sabotaging your efforts. You can eliminate the symptoms that seem to be piling up in midlife naturally without medication, crazy diets, intense exercise, or any other unsustainable lifestyle hack.